Okay,
You're
so
right.
that's statutory law. Okay.
And while we're on this, we might as well cover what those are, what they really are. And, this is one of the, hopefully we'll get through some of this explanation today, but really what those are policies, corporate policies.
Right.
I'll explain what a
Corporate
corporation is later. Some people say corporate bylaws. So the perfect example is, say you work for McDonald's, right? If you sign up to become an employee for McDonald's, they've got, the employee handbook, and it's got all their policies on what they expect of a McDonald's employee to follow. You got to wear the, maroon pants and the yellow shirt or whatever, right? You got to wear your name badge. These are all corporate policies for McDonald's.
And what does this bylaw imply? Is that like by as in secondary or something? Or what is by?
BY-law. It's a bylaw. So that's just another way to distinguish it from the actual law, right?
Okay.
It's the same thing as a policy. They're one and the same. I prefer policy just because I don't like, it just gets confusing when you say law. Everybody gets confused by it. But it's like the word law has been attached to all these different ideas. That it's kind of a way of hiding what's really going on, like a statutory law. Right.
So we have these policies, and we're running around arguing about whether things are lawful or not, when we're often talking about just whether the controllers have made it a statutory policy or something, and it's got nothing to do with law at all.
It has nothing to do with law at all. It's what's happened, and I'll try to get into this in this explanation today, is they tricked us into being employees or dependents of the corporation known as the United States of America, Inc. That's it. That's the trick. And when you are tricked into doing that, then you have to follow the corporate bylaws, which are the statutes.
Right.
Make sense?
So if you consider yourself an employee of the corporation,
you don't. Then you don't consider yourself that. You think you're a U.S. citizen or an Australian citizen.
Right. Or if you don't know that you're acting as if you were an employee or something.
It's not even that.
Better way to put it.
It's not even it's not even that. It's that they are treating you like an employee or a dependent.
Treating you like that. Okay.
Right. You don't have no idea. That's the whole.
Okay.
That's the whole trick.
Right.
And so once you learn it, as hopefully we'll get a little bit into today's or the next week's broadcast. Once you learn it, then you go, this is what they're doing, right? And all of this started to really get dug into, of course, with the COVID stuff, and they were, having to wear a mask everywhere, and all the businesses closing. For me, it was like, how are they doing this to us, right? Didn't make sense. If I want to keep my business open,
they suddenly said there's a law. You're not allowed outside.
It was a mandate.
Okay.
It was a mandate, and everybody assumed it was a law.
Right.
Which is what they've been doing this whole time. They're just assuming that when the legislature creates a statute that it applies to me. Just assumed it.
Right.
And we'll dive into that a little bit deeper, but that's the trick.
Did you want to cover this other one, canon law, ecclesiastical?
Real quick. I mean, I'm just going to breeze through these. So, ecclesiastical is the highest law. It's the air, and it's the A in LAW. And this is what drives really everything. Canon law. So it's from the Vatican. So it's at the top of the heap, even though the letters don't signify what comes first, second, and third. It really is the highest law. And, it's spiritual law, if you will. So they're obviously trying to say this is what the universal natural law is. But of course, that gets changed around and tricks us and on and on and on. Not going to spend any time on that. The last one is W, or water. And this is the whole, for people who have heard a little bit about this before, this is maritime or admiralty is what they call this jurisdiction. And it's an important thing. It's always been an important thing, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. But that's a different jurisdiction. Basically, it's for international trade. It's for two countries, two separate nations to be able to interact with each other in commerce. And that's the importance of the water or maritime jurisdiction. Make sense?